Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of India International. Few days back, all of us woke up to a rather shocking news, which was also surprising to many people. That a huge crowd had broken into the Congress building, that is the Parliament of the United States of America. And we all saw the visuals of people walking on the steps, running into the house. Also, some of them trying to climb the walls and get into the building and so on. After all this happened, the US Senator from the state of Florida, Marco Rubio, passed a remark on the Twitter where he said, and I quote, "This is third world style anti-American anarchy." Listen to this news. Number of protesters gathered in downtown Washington. They smashed the windows of a few business shops in the area. They tipped over the garbage cans. In San Francisco, many protesters blocked the headquarters of Uber. They also blocked the headquarters of Wells Fargo. And protesters broke on the freeways as well as the San Francisco Caltrain in order to do something we call in India Rasta Roko and Rail Roko. Viewers, if you think this is the news from January 2021, you are wrong. This is actually the news from January 2017. And the protesters were not Republican Party members who were protesting for Trump's loss of election, but these protesters were indeed protesting the election of Trump as the President of the United States back then and mourning the loss of Hillary Clinton as the president in the presidential election of the United States. Mr. Marco Rubio, who passed a comment about third worldism and third world style anarchy in America, I think it's time to note that violent protest against the elected presidents and the electoral process in general are fast becoming a rule in America. We can look back to the year 2000 when Junior Bush was elected the president. We can look back to 2017 and now 2021, of course. I think it's time for the United States to reflect upon the electoral process, which is age-old, to reflect upon the way they conduct elections in their country, and most of all, on what they call the winner-take-all system of the presidential elections. I think it would do a lot better to the United States to do introspection rather than call this a third world style anarchy. Second issue that we are going to deal with today on India International is a kind of assessment of Donald Trump's foreign policy. It may be argued that Trump is perhaps the most maligned United States president, at least since the World War II, if not among the most maligned presidents. His foreign policy and his domestic policy have constantly come under a scanner and has been criticized. And the criticism, some would agree, has been a little unjust sometimes. As he departs, Donald Trump deserves impartial assessment of his policies, domestic as well as foreign. In this episode of India International, I will do an impartial assessment of Donald Trump's foreign policy. January 2017, when Donald Trump began his reign as President of the United States, he began by rolling back one of the major decisions of his predecessor, Obama. In early January, within a few days after taking over as the President of America, he announced the withdrawal from the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was a major regional free trade pact, was a part of Obama's Pacific diplomacy. And as Trump took over, it was part of his America First agenda, because of which he decided that America cannot be the part of this Trans-Pacific Partnership. So he announced that America is withdrawing from the same treaty. He followed it up with a number of withdrawals. So in May 2017, he announced that America was withdrawing from Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which is popularly known as the Iran nuclear deal. Then in December 2017, US also announced withdrawal from the multilateral organization UNESCO. In November 2017, United States announced that they were withdrawing from the Paris Climate Change Treaty. And the latest was when in September 2020, Trump announced that America was quitting the World Health Organization, a withdrawal that would come in effect from July 2021. Looking back at some of these withdrawals, one may criticize some of them, but not quite all of them. It was indeed not in the interest of the United States of America, leave alone the other regional partners, to leave the Trans-Pacific Partnership. This particular trade pact would have done a lot of good to the trade as well as relations between America on the one hand and its Pacific partners on the other hand. By leaving the treaty, Trump actually lost for America an opportunity of promoting trade and promoting free trade with its partners in this particular region. Again, as far as the Iran nuclear deal is concerned, there has been wide criticism of Trump's decision to leave this particular treaty because this has prompted Iran to take forward its nuclear weapons program afterwards. The intention of the Joint Comprehensive Action Plan was primarily to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions, or let us say at least the nuclear weapons ambitions. And by American withdrawal, in fact, those same ambitions of Iran have got a boost, and now Iran has announced partial enrichment at its nuclear plants. Looking at the UNESCO withdrawal, America announced the withdrawal on the pretext that there is a pending membership fee from other countries, and that America was paying out of its pockets, and thus it is not obliged to continue to be the member. And thus, partly some people may say that it was good that America left, but then the other side of the story is, if a richer country like America does not contribute to UNESCO, then it would be very difficult for other countries, especially the smaller and less developed countries, to be contributing to such international organizations and their funds. As far as the withdrawal from the Paris Climate Change Treaty is concerned, there was a lot of criticism of Trump's decision. Frankly speaking, by withdrawing from the Paris Climate Change Treaty, Trump was actually restoring the American stand on climate change on the entire issue and on the entire climate change regime, so to speak. Because before Obama, the American administrations had never agreed on the multilateral climate change regimes and have never been the members of it. So as far as the Kyoto Protocol is concerned, America never signed it, America never ratified it. What happened after Obama took over is the fact that Obama was trying to go along with the climate change international regime. What Trump did by withdrawing is simply to restore the status quo ante before Obama administration took over. Withdrawal from the World Health Organization again can be looked at as America's anger against China. And perhaps one of the reasons was what the Americans call the Wuhan virus or COVID-19 pandemic. And America has actually left no stone unturned while blaming China for the spread of this virus and the entire pandemic that has ruined not only the lives and the health systems, but also the economies of so many countries in the world. However, looking at the Iran withdrawal from the Joint Plan of Action Treaty, which is known as the Iran nuclear deal, one needs to understand also that the withdrawal of America from the Iran treaty has directly affected adversely India's interest as well. Because the growing friendship between Iran and India has taken a setback as a result. Iran has grown closer to China, and India's interest in the development of the Chabahar port, as well as the development of the infrastructure connecting Central Asia, Afghanistan, and Iran, have taken a serious setback because of the American decision. While we can look at most of these decisions rather critically and say that Trump's decisions have adversely affected so many countries in the world, there is a flip side to his foreign policy as well. And there are two major regions in the world where Trump's foreign policy seems to have succeeded. One of those regions is the Middle East, and the second one is Indo-Pacific. As far as the Middle East is concerned, the foreign policy that Trump followed in the last 2 years of his presidency was in a way in pursuant to his policy towards Iran, or in a way following up on America's withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal. He actually persuaded, you may say, or pressurized, you may say, whichever way you like. He persuaded Israel and several Arab countries to push towards a rapprochement. And thus, in the last few months, particularly beginning September 2020, we see the signing of the Abraham Accords, the accords between Israel and UAE, Israel and Bahrain, and there is a possibility, a very positive signs of a possibility of many Arab countries, including the Saudi Arabia, joining in this particular Abraham Accords series. This has changed the geopolitics and decisively changed the geopolitics of Middle East, one could say, because it has actually changed the power equations as far as the Middle East is concerned. In earlier episodes of India International, we have talked about these changes in detail, and those interested may look back at some of those episodes. Coming to Indo-Pacific, what the Trump administration did was it set out a clear vision against the Chinese expansionism. Recently, in early January, the US administration declassified a security document related to the Indo-Pacific strategy of the United States. And this was made public on 12th January this year. This is available on the website for anybody to view. This document emphasizes free and open Indo-Pacific. It vows to align American strategy with those of Australia, India, and Japan in the region. It looks extremely positively at India as far as the Indo-Pacific region is concerned. It very clearly states that India is a preferred partner. It is a preeminent power in South Asia. It should take a leading role in security of the entire Indian Ocean region, and it should take up the role of a net security provider in the Indo-Pacific region. This entire document has been made public just 2 years after it was adopted by the American administration. It is customary among the US administrations to declassify documents after, say, 25 years, 30 years, 35 years. It is exceptional that this particular document was made public within just 2 years. Some analysts believe that by making this document public, the outgoing administration perhaps wants to pressurize the incoming Biden administration on continuing its Indo-Pacific policy. Whatever may be the reason, the document actually is a testimony that Trump administration and Donald Trump himself perhaps was quite serious about what happens in the Indo-Pacific region due to the Chinese expansionism, and how should US respond to that. As far as foreign policies are concerned, heads of state and government many times get the credit of a policy which they have not made. But they also get the discredit for the policy that they have not made. It has been true in case of people like Nehru, Indira Gandhi, and Narendra Modi. It is also true in case of George W. Bush, Obama, and Donald Trump. Thank you for watching. Leave your comment in the comment box below.
Hello everyone. HW News English is 2 years old now. When we started this venture, we promised ourselves one thing, that news should remain free, because right to know is the right of every Indian. But to keep news free for everyone, we need support from some of you. And thus we have rolled out membership on our YouTube channel HW News English. But mind you, the membership is completely voluntary. The programs that we were doing earlier, that we are doing now, will continue to remain free. First level is a basic level. Here you can be our supporter by paying rupees 199 per month. This membership gives you certain perks and benefits. The perks include unique badges in front of your name, a live show from Mr. Sujit Nair and from Mr. Akhilesh Bhargava per month for our members. You can also vote in some exclusive members-only polls. Now the second level is Super Supporter. Here you can be our Super Supporter by paying rupees 3,999 per month. This membership will include every perk that comes with basic level. Additionally, our Super Supporters can be a part of a WhatsApp group where we can have discussions and suggestions on various topics. The second perk includes a gift pack with our merchandise. And the third perk is a Google Meet with Mr. Sujit Nair, where you can join the meet and ask your questions to Mr. Nair face to face. Lastly, if you like, we would give a shout out to our super supporters in our programs. So, hope to see you soon with our badges.